Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Game Design Archive with Edvard and Ludwig. I'm Ludwig, and as always, I'm here with my fantastic co-host Edvard. Hello Edvard.
Hello.
Today, we are going to talk about the problem with save files. Go ahead, Edvard.
Ooh. So, what do we mean by that? Well, save files suck.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
No nuance here.
No
it's just
nuance.
objective. They're
Yes.
objectively bad. We're not going to discuss in depth
No depth.
positives and negatives later. You can just
Yeah.
close the video now.
Yeah. No.
Just kidding.
So, the point we want to make today is that although save files are very useful, they actually encourage us a lot of bad practices, I guess, in terms of game design. And it actually ties back a bit to our earlier discussions about intrinsic and extrinsic rewards, right? I guess we could start. Should we start at the arcade era?
Yeah, sure.
And to make the point clear. Usually people talk about usually people talk about arcade games as bad, but the people that do talk about them as good usually say, oh, they're good because of their business model, right? Because it encourages the players to, spend more money to get to see more of the game, and encourages them to make the games interesting. But I think a big part of why they are so good is actually because you can't save, right? Because you're in an arcade, so you have to get the experience there and then, and so there is a lot of design constraints because of that. For example, you need to be able to beat the game in one go, right? Because you can't store your progress. You need to help me here.
What do you mean? You need to beat it in one go. It needs to be short, right?
Exactly.
That's one.
Be too long. Well, that's the same thing, basically.
Yeah. There's no progression, right?
Right.
That's
you can't have you can't have meta progression because then everyone gets it. So you can't have progress over time. It has to be intrinsic, right? It can only.
Intrinsic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to all the progress of the game needs to happen in your head, right? Because the game can't know who's playing. And sure, they have a scoreboard. I guess you could argue that's a save file, whatever. Yeah.
And also extrinsic motivation. But
and potentially extrinsic motivation, yes. So that's basically the main point of our argument today.
Yeah. I think also, just to add, I think one important point is it's not only all of this, because all of this is kind of around sort of external to the gameplay, I guess.
Yeah.
But it also affects the gameplay positively. And I think one very big part of that is the sort of gameplay density, right? Because since there aren't any save files, you need to keep replaying the game. And if the game isn't very gameplay dense, it becomes very boring very quickly.
Yes. Because you have to redo it.
Exactly. And I always take Half-Life 2 as an example because I hate Half-Life 2 and everyone else loves Half-Life 2. The beginning of Half-Life 2, we've discussed this in a previous video, is the most boring beginning to a game ever. And if Half-Life 2 didn't have save files and you needed to replay it, if Half-Life 2 was run-based, no one would like that game because everyone would realize, wow, this intro sucks. It's 30 minutes of total waste of my time without any gameplay whatsoever. And then the rest of the game isn't very dense gameplay wise ever, so it kind of bad that way too. But whatever, it's it forces the game to have a lot of gameplay, I guess, is sort of my point.
And especially not to waste the player's time, right? Because you can't realistically have a game that's 30 hours or something, because you can't do that in one sitting. Not saying that you should never do that. I'm just saying it encourages shorter games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it also encourages more value in the sense that it needs to be fun to redo the stuff, right? So it needs to be short, so you can do it in one sitting, but it also needs to make the content fun, so that you can replay it, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can't get to the end. Because you can't just continue from where you left off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like sort of similar point, I guess, but like I guess it sort of necessitates the gameplay to actually be deep, if that makes sense. Because if you're replaying everything over and over again, right? Then if the gameplay is shallow, most people are gonna like get put off by that because they play through the same stuff over and over again, and they're not doing anything differently. It's like the thing they tried the first time worked, and they're just gonna keep doing it, and like nothing matters, and everything is boring, sort of like that. So I think replaying like makes it more. Yeah, it makes it more deep, sort of. There are a lot of run-based games, you know. Final Fight, for example, I'll take that as an example, because I always say I'm never going to take that as an example anymore because I do it too much, and I still keep doing it. But like the first time I beat the first level of Final Fight, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of get it, whatever. And then I moved on to the other levels, and I got absolutely wrecked, right? But the thing is that like the way I play the first level now is completely different from the way I played the first level when I beat it the first time. Like when I beat it perfectly the first time. So it's like I'm still learning, I'm still mastering, I'm still improving at the first level, even though I've like beaten it perfectly. And that's sort of the sign of a deep game. And I wouldn't have like noticed that at all if I just played through the level once and then like never played it again. Because there's a lot of things that I've learned like in the first level, like how to optimize and play the first level better, that I wouldn't have learned if I hadn't replayed it, right?
Yeah. And to clarify one thing with that stuff, I obviously still think practice stuff is very nice, right? So it's not like, oh, you can't have store data for, I mean, obviously save files are fine sometimes, so it's not like that. But my point is, it's the saved progress that's the problem, not necessarily the saving of data, right? Because if you have practice modes, for example, save states, right? Sure, so you could argue someone uses save states in you know, like the Final Fight emulator, right? The what's it called? The Capcom
Arcade Stadium.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can save state in there, right? And sure, maybe someone uses that for progressing through the game. So in that sense, it's bad, right? But or bad. I shouldn't say bad, but like, you know, you're not getting the game, the experience of the game. But if you use it in like to practice, that's a different thing, right? Because you're not storing the progress for progress sake. You're storing it to be able to practice the later parts, right?
Yeah.
So that's a thing that obviously lacked in the arcade era, right? That was something that you couldn't have. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, most of the problem kind of boils down to like keeping your progress, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's the actual problem with save files. Because it like, as you said in the beginning, it like encourages some very, very like bad stuff.
Yeah. In most cases.
And I think, yeah. Well, like I would say that the problem isn't necessarily that you can save; it's that saving encourages bad practices, sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, you know,
from the designers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess, and the players as well, but mostly.
Well, yeah, true. You have like saves coming and stuff.
Yeah.
Which you can't do if you can't save.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. But I was thinking more of like developers' point of view, right?
Yeah,
so one very good example of that is like any form of progression. It's like without saving, progression doesn't matter, right? Like in a way, progression becomes the gameplay, because a lot of arcade games have like, I don't know if you want to call it gear, but it has like pickups and stuff. And you know, you lose all of them when you lose the run, and so then you reset to the beginning. And so that's not the kind of progression I'm talking about, because that's like part of the gameplay. What I'm talking about is like meta progression stuff, which is very popular nowadays, sadly. So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna bring up roguelikes, right?
Yeah.
So we hate on roguelikes a lot. But actually, it's mostly because the modern roguelikes, in my opinion, where you have a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at the older ones, I mean, you could argue that's not old, and I should probably say roguelites, right? So people don't get mad. But Spelunky, right?
Yeah.
Spelunky doesn't have any progression between the rounds. It's just run-based. And it has some randomness for some flavor, right? And I think Spelunky is pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I would maybe want to have some practice stuff in that, though, to be fair, actually.
I mean, it does technically, right? Because it has the the doors you can unlock to the different areas, which don't count for your final score.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you can like go to specific areas, but you need to like unlock them and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think in a lot of ways, the reasons why roguelikes are becoming popular is because people have sort of realized that like save files are lame.
Yeah.
The problem is that
They're
the way
bringing it back.
many roguelikes... Yeah. Exactly. But the problem is that many roguelikes, you know, they still have save files in a way because they have a bunch of meta progression, right?
Yeah. But I feel like when they came, like the early roguelites, right? Yeah. Are not like that. They were
they're
the ones that got really big.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking
like Binding of Isaac and stuff like that. Yeah.
Maybe but Isaac maybe have like unlockable characters or something.
Yeah, it does, but I don't think anything else. Yeah, I don't mind that actually. It's
I guess that's fine. I mean, it's nicer if you can just pick whatever, but it's not a big deal, right? Because it doesn't change the progress. I think actually Isaac might be even worse. It might have you might unlock gear in the run as well. I don't know if that was the thing originally.
Oh, you mean like you unlock items so that you can get them in later runs?
I think that might be a thing, and that's super lame. So
some games do that.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm not 100% sure it does, and I don't know if they did that originally. That might be a later thing. I don't know. I haven't played enough Isaac. Yeah.
But yeah, like what was I gonna say? Yeah, so roguelikes are very nice in that way. I was gonna say, I remember what I was gonna say now. So, what's it called? Rogue Legacy 2, right?
Right.
I remember we like discussed it in a video, and I like replayed it because I had played it a little bit before but never finished it.
Yeah.
So I played for like an hour or two to like get some gameplay for the video, and I think we both commented on this, that like that game looked so fun. Like the level design in that game was so fun, and like the boss design and everything like that was very well done. The problem is, of course, that when you die in Rogue Legacy 2, you get sent back to like your castle, where it's like, oh yeah, you can like 10x your HP with meta progression, and you can unlock a bunch of stuff and whatever. And it just put me off completely, because like when I did that first run, like before I got to my meta progression, or before I started unlocking the meta progression stuff, I was like, holy crap, Rogue Legacy 2 is kind of good. I've slept on this game, right? No, it has meta progression, and it's so bad. It's like one of the worst examples.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so my point is that like if you removed the like saving of progression from Rogue Legacy 2, that would be an absolutely amazing game.
Yes. Yeah, it's another thing. Like a lot of people have talked to me about Hades and Hades 2, and like it's the same there. Like it might be. I don't know if I would like. Maybe I would like it, but the meta progression is so off-putting because there's a lot of meta progression in those, and the second one has even more.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Is it works? Because I played the first one.
Yeah,
and I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
They added more.
Yeah, because I thought the meta progression in the first one like was pretty bad already.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I mean, I guess it's sort of bridging the gap, because I'm assuming that the kind of people that want that game, like the run-based intrinsic reward game, is limited, and then they can utilize the fact that there's some people that are tricked into it with the extrinsic stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then they keep some of the intrinsic people at least for a while until it gets too bad, and then they lose them. Maybe, I don't know. Or until someone comes along and makes a better game.
I think it's like because there are so few run-based games, right? So few real run-based games. They can kind of get away with it because like people who like run-based games are gonna play it anyways in a way.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm not sure, but it seems like something that could be true.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hades is really weird, right? Because it's like the final evolution of roguelikes in a way, like modern roguelikes.
Yeah.
Because it does everything, and I guess that's why it's so popular, because it takes the run-based game and then it like completely ruins it with a bunch of meta progression stuff, and like everyone talks about how amazing like the story structure is in Hades, right? Because it's like a roguelike and the story is reflecting that, because you like meet people again and again, and like the bosses say, oh, I remember the last time we fought, that was so epic battle, and it doesn't matter.
I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess.
I guess, but like it's still,
I think
it's
it
like,
adds a bit maybe, but like the meta stuff is just like I am super hater on meta stuff. That is probably worse than like long RPGs for me. Because it's like you're playing the same game, but it's just getting easier and you're getting better. So it's just, you know, I don't know.
Well, you could argue that you aren't even getting better, it's just getting easier.
No, you always get better.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah.
No, you get a lot better. Like, even if you're... There's no way.
Yeah, compared to like the first run,
I mean,
like,
if you play Hades for 100 hours, I think you're probably a lot better than when you started. Even if the meta progression is taking a, you know, making it a bit easier.
But like the longer you play, the less better you get, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess, maybe. I mean, that's true for a run basically without meta progression as well, because you true. You have the most gains of skill earlier, right? Yeah.
Talking about RPGs, by the way, because you mentioned RPGs, I feel like maybe this is also like connected to roguelikes, because RPG elements are like super popular right now, right? And roguelikes borrow a lot from RPGs. Like there's this what's the like genre called? Stats like, or synergy builders or whatever. You know, like games that where the run is about creating the epic build, right? I feel like it's kind of weird how roguelikes in that sense, I'm just gonna call them stats like from now on. So for example, like, I don't know, Balatro or Vampire Survivors or whatever, if you need an example. But like, I find it kind of interesting how games like that have become so popular, and yet no one has made like a run-based pure RPG.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like you could argue something like Dicey Dungeons is that.
Yeah, true.
Where you do again, you unlock characters, but the game is the same. Like you only unlock more challenges actually. Than characters. Yes.
Yeah. But that's more towards like the deck builder sort of style.
But that is sort of synergy builder stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, I see what you're saying more on the other side.
It's like I'm talking about like a pure like tactical RPG, CRPG, whatever. That's run based, because I feel like the main problem with RPGs, well, there are a lot of problems with RPGs, but one very big problem with RPGs is that once you sort of have a good build, they become very trivial, and like it's not very interesting to play the rest of the game. And sometimes that happens towards the end of the game and it's fine, but in a lot of RPGs that happens like halfway through, and then you have the rest of the half of the game to play, and it's super boring, and I never end up finishing them. And I feel like
from a gameplay perspective, I guess, which is what we're focusing on. If you're playing an RPG just for the story, then whatever, right? So
exactly. And so I feel like it would be interesting to see someone make a run-based RPG, like pure RPG, because I feel like that would solve that problem, right? Where it's like, well, there's actually one more problem with RPGs that I have.
There's a lot of problems actually.
Yes, but these two are related to save files, right? And the second problem that I have is that every time I play a new RPG, I play like a third, maybe a quarter through the game, and then I realize that my build is trash, and then I restart. Like every time. And if the game is like 100 hours long, like
20
at that point, I just stop playing, because like I'm not gonna like replay 25 hours to get to the other 75. But like if the RPG would be run based, then it would kind of solve itself, right? Because I would play the game, I would lose because my build sucks, and then I would go back and like redo the build and like do it better because I've learned a bunch of stuff. And so like I think RPGs, because I think RPGs are like the longest, most bloated games ever that like rely on the save files the most, right? And I feel like that's the genre that would benefit the most from like abandoning save files.
There is actually one genre that's worse, which is related to the RPG. We'll get to that later, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of want to bring up Iron Man mode as well, right?
Yeah,
Now,
sure.
because it's a good time, which is that you could do something like that as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man mode kind of solves some of the stuff we're talking about, right? So you can have a slightly longer game. Like, for example, an RPG, maybe you need, like, you can't have an hour of an RPG. I mean, you can, but let's say you can have like a 4 or 5 hour RPG, right?
Yeah.
And then it can be Iron Man
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, encourage the reruns, right? So that's also a sort of solution. But then you still have the save file, right? It's just not permanent.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a way to split up your run or whatever you want to call it, right? But not have it in one sitting or leaving the computer on or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think more people should experiment with Force Iron Man. I think a lot of games have Iron Man.
Yeah, like as an option.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not. Yeah, I guess like not Dicey Dungeons, Darkest Dungeon, right? That's probably a good example of what we're talking about. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah, I think that's a bit longer though, because like there's a run, but then there's like meta progression in the run.
I
So
see.
you go to like the dungeon and then you return to the base and you upgrade your base and then you go to the dungeon and you go back to the base and so on. But
Yeah.
like the whole base thing is a run in itself.
Right. Yeah, that could be fine. Maybe it depends.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
say. Yeah. I haven't actually played Darkest Dungeon, so I don't know.
I have.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it too much, but maybe I just didn't
Yeah.
give it too much of a chance.
I think you could do something like that, though.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's very interesting in a way.
Mhm.
Maybe too long. I don't know. Right.
Yeah, I think Darkest Dungeon campaign is pretty long, like maybe 10-20 hours. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because some games you need more time. Like, let's say we talked about strategy RPGs or
Mhm.
something at some point, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do a run-based strategy RPG that's 1 hour, under an hour, right?
yeah.
Because a mission is like 30 minutes or something,
hmm
and you would need like. I mean,
Yeah,
they
you
have
need-
too many, but you need like 8 missions maybe or something at least.
Mhm,
I don't
yeah.
know, right? And that's
Yeah, you need some time for like the build to actually develop, and
Yeah.
you can't do that in 30 minutes.
Yeah, and not
Yeah.
like, but not go too far, which they always do, which is
hmm
you're broken.
100
and-
hours.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. Fire Emblem is like, I don't know, 30 maybe. So Fire Emblem is not too bad, but
Mhm.
still, like the last 10, you're like, yep, depending
Yeah.
on the game, but right, but it's like, yep, it's broken.
Yeah.
And then for some reason they always like ramp it up towards the end, so it's like you have this period where it's like not hard, and then it's like actually hard again in the end. I
Mhm.
don't know why they do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's because you're supposed to catch up if you're behind. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, there was in relation to this sort of.
Mhm.
I wanted to talk about Europa Universalis 4, which I
Mhm.
always talk about because I love that game. So that's like, for those of you that haven't played it, it's like a grand strategy game where you play as a nation and you go to war and you do the diplomacy and whatever. And that game is technically run-based, right? Because it spans from like, it's set in like real-world history from like the 1400s to the 1800s. And so you start a run as a nation and then you play the game to the end if you can bother, because the game usually becomes quite boring by the halfway point. And then that's it, right? There's like no campaign, nothing like that. And I feel like, I just want to make very clear here that I do feel like, I guess the point I want to make, which we kind of sort of mentioned earlier, but that I want to make extra clear, is that like, some games do take time to play. And like, for that reason, yes, save files are fairly reasonable. And I think I wanted to talk about EU4 for that reason. Because like, you couldn't have an EU4 run that lasted an hour. Like an EU4 run takes like maybe 5 to 10 hours. And like, as you mentioned, you need to like save at some point, right? Unless you want to sit for like 10 hours straight, which
Yeah.
I most of the time don't want to.
Yeah. But to be clear, I don't think the issue is that you can stop
Yeah.
your progress and come back
Mhm.
later. It's more like all the other stuff, right?
Yeah. I guess the problem is like reloading the progress. I don't know. Do you
Yeah,
kind of get what I'm
yeah.
saying? Yeah, where it's like, because EU4 has Iron Man mode as well.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely the best way to play it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talked about before we started the puzzle games, right? Something like
Mhm.
Witness or whatever. It
Yeah.
would be really hard to do the Witness without stopping at any time, right?
Yeah.
So you need the stopping at any time. But then again, that game has no, like, there is no extrinsic reward in that game whatsoever, right? It's
Yeah.
just You're just doing the next puzzle. It's just stopping exactly where you were, right, and you can come back. So that there's nothing going on in terms of saving. It's just here you are, and it probably wouldn't even be that. I mean, it would be, but it wouldn't even be that bad to redo all the stuff in the Witness every time you played it.
Yeah,
like if you wanted to get to a certain point because you already know the solution, you could just go there, right? But it's just,
like losing your save file wouldn't be the end of the world.
No, whereas in an RPG it might be actually, because it's like insane amounts of hours. Yes.
But I think just to like clarify your point, I guess I think like whether or not save files are a good idea depends a lot on the game. Now that's probably very obvious, but like the Witness, for example,
you want save data in most games. Like you could argue, like you want to save the settings or whatever. True. So sure, I mean not.
Yeah, but the thing about something like The Witness, right, is that it's a puzzle game, and so it's mostly knowledge based. Like if you've done a puzzle, going back to it won't really give you anything. Like. Because you know the solution. Like you might forget the solution and then you might get something from doing it again. But like assuming that you didn't forget something you did 15 minutes ago, you're not gonna like benefit a lot from redoing the content. And I guess the game, like obviously Jonathan Blow is a very good designer, right? So the game, how do you say this? Like the game doesn't suffer from any of the save file stuff.
No, not at all.
But I think puzzle games in general don't do that,
No.
and I'm not quite sure why. Because it seems like...
No, it makes a lot of sense. It's because puzzle games, like they are very... what's the word? They are very aware of what the game is about, which is the mechanics. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like no one goes. I mean, probably someone does, but most people don't go. Oh, I'm gonna make this puzzle game with this super deep story or whatever. Right. I mean, it can have a deep like lore world or whatever, but like The Witness has a interesting world, right? But it's not. I mean, I say that, and his new game probably has actually a bunch of story. I think so. Whatever. My That's not exactly what I meant.
I can like, are you saying like puzzle designers are more aware of like what they're doing? I guess.
Yes, I think that's exactly what it is. The people that make puzzle games are people that care about game design. Yeah. Because it's the easiest spot to get like the easiest in terms of the. It's not easy to do puzzle games. That's not what I'm saying. It's very obvious. What's the word? Like it is very mechanical, right? It's like, this puzzle piece, how does this work? Oh, I wonder if I do this with this thing and that thing, and then you do things, right? Whereas it's more abstract with something like Final Fight, for example. What's good? How do you design a good beat 'em up? That's more abstract, right? So it's harder to. Yeah, I mean, both are hard to do. It's not that it's harder to do. It's just harder to quantify what makes the design good or bad or whatever.
Yeah, I think...
Something like that.
I think part of the reason for that is that, you know, in a puzzle game, the player is very limited with what they can do. And so it becomes... How do I say this without making it sound bad? It's like, it's very easy to sort of predict what the player is about to do, or it's very easy to like make the player understand what to do, maybe. Yeah. Whereas in an action game, you know, like Final Fight, it's like, you know, if you move 10 pixels versus move 5 pixels, like to the right or whatever, that might make a very big difference, or it might not, and like it depends on so many factors, and like, you know, there's a massive complexity, whatever, you know. And I think that's part of the reason why it's harder to design, or harder to design well, I guess.
Yeah, there is actually one more thing that you might disagree with, but I stand by this point. I don't think you're going to disagree. I've just said that to be, and that is that most people, even skilled designers, is very, how should I say this? Like puzzle games is seen as a genre that anyone can beat.
Ah, yes, good
So
point.
obvious to you and me, it's obvious, right, that anyone could beat Final Fight if they played enough. Almost anyone, whatever you can.
Yeah, like
You
if
get
you're
what I'm saying.
born without arms or legs and a head, maybe
Yeah.
you can't beat it. But
Yeah.
like otherwise, you're fine.
Yes, you can beat Final Fight. You don't need
Yes.
talent or whatever to beat Final Fight. It's not hard enough for that.
Yeah, it's just practice.
And it's the same with a puzzle game. However, that's not an accepted opinion among gamers and designers, right? The accepted opinion is that Final Fight, or that kind of game, where action games, you need talent for, right? Whereas puzzle games, because obviously you can know the solution, so obviously you can learn the solution, right? Because the action game is more nuanced in like, oh no, you need to like train your brain to recognize patterns and stuff.
Yeah, and there's like muscle memory and execution stuff that you need to learn.
Yeah. So in that case, people are like, no, that's just, you know. I mean, they mostly say it's button mashing, right? That's the level they get to. So yeah, I think that's part of it, that it's less obvious that it's skill based, I guess, and that people are less accepting of it, and so people hopefully that makes sense.
I also think, now we're going on a bit of a puzzle game tangent here, but like I think that maybe there's like a positive spiral going on in like puzzle game design, if that makes sense, where it's like, you know, there were a few people that made good puzzle games. And then everyone looked at those and said, wow, those are so good. And then like everyone learned from those games and like expanded on that sort of philosophy. So I feel like puzzle games, because if you've played The Witness, for example, which is a very popular puzzle game, and for good reason, because it's absolutely fantastic, then when you play other puzzle games, it's very obvious that a lot of puzzle games have taken their inspiration from The Witness. Like very, very obvious. Which I don't think is quite as like prevalent, I guess, in other genres.
I think it is. It's just poorly executed.
Yeah, perhaps.
Like they copy Dark Souls, but not in a good way or whatever. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
But I think that's always been the case. I could be wrong, but that puzzle games has always been this like sort of sophisticated genre, right? For the design, like it's sort of like the jazz genre or whatever, right? If that makes sense.
I would almost like
designers
say the opposite. Like it's almost more like classical music, right? Where it's like,
that works. I guess,
Whereas action games are more like jazz, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
Because jazz is more like, you know, there aren't any rules, just play whatever and make it sound nice. And I feel like action games are that way, whereas puzzle games are more like, oh, this is a perfectly crafted experience by the artist and whatever, you know, stuff like that.
But I'm thinking like there's probably a lot of game designers playing puzzle games, right? So it's like a genre for it's sort of
for
music
designers.
For musicians, right? It's games for game designers, right? Yeah. It's sort of that kind of genre, I feel like.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And so it's like boosts itself, whereas with action games, it's like, you know, they're trying to market, like some random dude is like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was Dark Souls, but you were a pirate or something? And it's like, there's no like game design in that. It's just some random dude that didn't, you know. I'm being too mean to people here, but you know what I mean. It feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, I also like. I think maybe we're giving puzzle games a bit too much credit, right? Because if you look at puzzle games that are actually popular, because we're talking about good puzzle games now, right? But if we're talking about puzzle games which are actually popular, maybe this isn't always true. And I'm thinking of like Portal, for example. Like Portal is a pretty meh puzzle game. Like the puzzles aren't very interesting. Like it's a very cool.
It's kind of
like
cool.
It's a cool
like
concept.
The second one is a bit unnecessary, I feel like. For example, and it might be a bit too far. I think Portal is fine because it's sort of a mainstream puzzle game, right?
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm trying to say. It's like, yeah, sure, a lot of puzzle games are very great, but then there's games like Portal, which it's fine, but like it's not the best.
Which is fine. I think it's fine that there's some puzzle games that are less.
Yeah.
Another thing might be that they're just more profitable, right? Not in terms of like a tons of money, but like there is enough people interested in the mechanics specifically of puzzle games for indies to make money.
Yeah.
Whereas something like beat 'em ups, I don't. Maybe if you make a good one or something, but I feel like the audience there is smaller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the people that want action games are more on the progression side or whatever. Yeah. So they're not at that point. Not saying that you can't create those audiences, and people definitely should try, right? But I think that is probably a case that there just are more people willing to spend money on ugly. I mean, I think they look fine, but you know what I mean, compared to the latest and greatest ugly indie puzzle games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was one thing I wanted to talk about, going back to save files, because we've gone on topic as usual, or gone off topic, sorry, as usual. And that's in relation to Minecraft, which I see as sort of a gray area.
Yeah.
Because we talked about in the beginning of the episode how like there's a lot of save files encourage a lot of extrinsic rather than intrinsic reward or thinking or whatever. And I feel like Minecraft is a bit of both, right? Because you know, I mentioned like, losing your save file in The Witness wouldn't matter that much. And I feel like losing your save file in Minecraft would matter a lot.
Yeah.
But not necessarily because it's extrinsic. Because the thing about Minecraft is that, you know, you have this world and you're building a bunch of pretty buildings or whatever, and you're making some weird redstone contraptions and some weird farms and whatever. And a lot of this is extrinsic, right? You know, the farms or whatever. It's like, I have this iron farm where I farm iron, and if I lose that, I'm gonna have to mine iron manually, and that sucks. So like that in that sort of way, it's extrinsic, right? But I also feel like there's a lot of value to actually like creating these builds and creating these machines that's like intrinsic. So I think it's fine that Minecraft is sort of progression based and still has save files, or that Minecraft is progression based in general, right? I don't know, I just wanted to bring it up as an example.
It belongs in the category of games that don't have goals or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Set by the game. And so they're a bit different, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could argue the goal is to beat the dragon or whatever.
Yeah, but nobody cares. Well, people do care about that, but they keep playing after they do it as well. So, like... I
agree with that.
And I think... Yeah, because it's very easy to say, like, progression bad, whatever, you know, but, like... I guess there's
bad.
more.
I would argue.
Progression bad.
Actually,
yes,
I don't know.
yes, but like maybe sometimes no. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think Minecraft belongs in this category, but obviously we have talked about this many times that just because a game is bad, right? Like it's not necessarily that you can't play it ever or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm,
so like we have like a super good example would be something like what's the game called? Vampire Survivors.
Yeah,
it's like the most slop game ever. Like it's completely brain dead. You just see nice colors, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna argue that might not be fun to someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
To do from time to time. But if you do that 8 hours a day, like we talked about in the episode where we discussed long play
wasting
times.
Your time.
Yeah, wasting time. Yeah. Then it's not as healthy anymore, right? It's back to the junk food argument.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that these things shouldn't exist. I just think, and even in good games, right? Whatever. It's just that the discussion around what's good and bad needs to be more nuanced. I think it's too much. Well, I'm having fun.
Addicting.
Yeah, this is addicting. I'm having fun, and it's like. Okay, but
is it
what's the like? Why do you play games, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's back to why do you play games? Do you play games because you're tired after? I mean, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, I'm tired after work," but whatever. But that, like, you have these super meaningful job where you're trying to invent machines to solve the climate crisis or something, right? And you need a 1 hour break on the weekend and you want to play a super grindy MMO or something. That makes sense to me. But if you're spending most of your, or like a lot of time, like playing games every day, you should not play games like that, because then you are wasting too much time, in my opinion.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you could argue someone that plays more serious games could play those games as well a little bit, right? Because they want a break from their more intense games or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's... I think just in general, it's not a good idea to make like the entire discussion around games, how we make everyone into a zombie, right? That's not... That makes games look very bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's sort of like all the discussions about social media now, right? Where it's like people have actually realized how bad it is, and games are trying to move towards that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up MMOs as well, which was the point before, right? We talked about RPGs and MMORPGs, which is the worst offender of them all, of this stuff, because it's just unlimited save file progression slope, right? It's never ending. You just keep doing stuff to get more stuff, and then the stuff gets obsolete because they release new stuff, and then you do more stuff to get more stuff. Or am I wrong?
No, I agree.
Yeah, and in general, I'm actually more frustrated about this side than the other side, because when I was younger, I mostly played multiplayer games. I didn't play a lot of arcade games, right? Arcade games were not actually even legal, I think, where we live.
Yeah.
At some point, so there
there
is no arcade legacy.
But like
when they were when they were a thing, right?
Yeah.
Before our time, anyways. But yeah, so we grew up mostly on multiplayer games, and I think you would agree, Ludwig, that all multiplayer games right now, all multiplayer games are absolute dog shit.
Yes.
Except for the ones that are games that were made like 15 years ago. And they're still full of dog shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even those are kind of obnoxious and stupid as well.
And most of this is because of this stuff we're talking about today, where they have a fuck ton of random, like, they have daily rewards, they have loot boxes, they have progression systems, they have skins, they have rank,
don't forget.
They have battle passes, they have so much garbage. And like when I grew up, you clicked play multiplayer or whatever, and there was like a list of servers, and then you joined one, and then you joined the same one every time, and they were like, "Hello, Mr. Edward, how are you today?" Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they would say something else, whatever my gamer tag was at the time, right? Because you would know each other. Watch our second episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second episode ever. It's very good. Although in sort of, I don't know if it's in modern games defense, more like old games offense. There were a lot of servers, like if you played CS or whatever, that had like weird meta progression stuff.
Sure.
Obviously, those were very bad, and I didn't play on those. But like, that was still a thing before. Is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think it's very sad to see, games like Battlefield and Call of Duty.
Yeah, completely unplayable.
Yeah, because like obviously they aren't like the fanciest, most like most sophisticated games ever. Obviously they're kind of casual, right? But like ever since like Modern Warfare 2, right, they've completely devolved into this like progression fest where everyone is just playing to like get the skins and get the unlocks and get the sights and the muzzle flashes and whatever, or muzzle breaks or whatever. And it's just so sad to see, because like what if those games, like, people actually play them for the gameplay?
Yeah. It's not
what if it was just like you play the game, you started the game, and then there was a server browser and you joined? Like,
and then nice. For some reason this also ties into the developer side, because developers are for some reason obsessed with the fact that this garbage makes a lot of money, and so they have to make these large scale multiplayer games. No one makes small scale multiplayer games, right?
Yeah.
Because you could make a reasonably cheap multiplayer game, right? It's not, you need some technical skill, but you could, I mean, people make 3D games on small scale, so you could obviously make multiplayer 3D games on small scales, right?
Yeah.
And just accept that you have a smaller player base. You just need to play around that, right? So you would need to have a lot of community activity stuff, right? To bring players back, like tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about this in the second episode. That's like a super... we haven't discussed this a lot before, right? But like I said, I played mostly multiplayer games when I was young. And I don't play, basically, I play sometimes, but very rarely multiplayer games these days. Because there simply is nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And so I guess these days I'm more on the arcade side because I can just play the old games, right? And I missed that era. That era didn't exist in like where we are. So then you can like get a lot out of that. But I definitely miss good multiplayer games for sure.
Yeah. I still play a bit of CS, you know, as I say every episode. And like, damn, do I wish that didn't have all of the like shitty skin stuff. Like CS isn't as bad as many other games. Like they fairly recently introduced battle passes, but they aren't like too obnoxious. They are kind of obnoxious, but they're compared to other battle passes, they're not too obnoxious and stuff like that. But like one thing that I find sort of interesting is like, or well, not that I find interesting, but I would like to see what the CS community would have been like if skins never existed.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the CS... Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. But I feel like sort of skins are sort of ruining the CS community because a lot of people who play are like mainly interested in the skins, I guess. And I feel like I want to see how the community would look like if only people played CS for the sake of playing CS, I guess. Because I feel like the community would be way better. There would be like more sportsmanship, I guess. I don't know. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's
like,
back to the server browser argument.
Yeah.
Where you're not having that. Yeah. Another big point that I want to bring up with multiplayer games is sort of save file adjacent, which is all the data the companies store about everything that's going on in the game. And this might be a bit controversial here because some people might disagree about this. But I think balancing games around statistics is proven to not work at all because all games are super boring. Like multiplayer games are super boring. Even if you remove all this progression shit, right? Like the way they end up balanced because they're looking at the numbers and seeing, oh, this character or this weapon needs to be 2% more powerful because it's not aligning with the 50% win rate or whatever they're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
And it's very obvious. It creates extremely boring games, right?
Yeah.
To me, at least.
Yeah, not only that, like, there's a funny example from CS actually, so good that I brought it up. You know the scoped rifles, the AUG and the SG, I don't remember what it's called.
The ones that has scopes that you don't use, you just
exactly. You just shoot without the scopes.
Yeah.
Those weapons are like never used, right?
Yeah.
And they weren't ever used really, except for one point in CS history, one singular point in CS history, and that was because Valve patched the game to reduce the price very slightly. I think it was like a few $100s, like $200 or $300. They reduced the price of those weapons, which made people try them out.
Yeah.
And then people realized, holy crap, these weapons have been OP for like the last 3 years. It's just that nobody has ever tried them. And so now everybody is running around with an AUG. And so like Valve looked at the stats and said, wow, no one's picking the AUG. Maybe we should lower the price of it. And it turned out that it was super OP, just that nobody had ever tried it because everyone was like writing it off completely. And so like, what I'm trying to say is that the statistics lie, right? Yeah. Players are wrong about what things are good and what things are bad.
Yeah, but even when they don't lie, I think it's like perceived balance is more important than actual balance.
Yes.
I know that might sound controversial, but I think I do believe that because weird sound. I do believe. What was I saying?
Perceived balance.
Right, perceived balance. Yeah, perceived, because sure, it could be completely perfectly balanced, but what does that mean really, right? Because So if you take like a game like Dota, right? There's gonna be metas anyways, right? Where it's like, oh, these heroes are popular because, like, if we take tournaments for example, they'll practice some heroes more, right? Because they're in fashion or in meta, right? It's not necessarily because they're the best. It's because it's a really good strategy. Like they found that, oh, if you combine these heroes, you get a really good strategy. And the counters to this are like not that strong. So until someone finds better counters, that's not gonna be right dealt with, right? And it's sort of hard to just look at the numbers. I think for fixing that, right? You need to like look at other things. I feel like the old Dota designers did that. The new ones, I don't know. I don't feel like this. I'm a bit torn on how they balance that game because they did a lot of patching, and I've also played other games where they basically don't do no patching, and there is basically no difference. Actually, I think I might even prefer no patching, because what happens is it becomes really interesting. You'll have like if we take a fighting game as an example, I don't play fighting games that much, but let's say take that as an example. If you never patch a fighting game, there's gonna be characters that are weaker than the others, at least perceptually, but maybe even they are weaker, right? But then it's like sort of a cool thing when someone picks that character, because that's the the weak character.
That's
so it's like people are gonna that's a flex, so people are gonna cheer that person on, right? Because they're picking the bad character or whatever. And so all that nuance disappears if you keep changing what the meaning of all the things in the game are, right? And it's sort of also that part that is the issue, right? Because that meaning changing is kind of lame, I guess. I think it's interesting that what something means, like this character, because maybe that character is super obnoxious if it's powerful. So what happens when you buff that character? Well, all of a sudden everyone hates that character, right? Because that character is super annoying if it's good, like if it's super good. But when it's bad, it's really cool to play it, right? I don't know. I hate balance patches. I don't like. Look, you can as long as it's like fair, which it always is, right? You talked about CS, right? Where it's like, oh, a map might be CT sided, okay, yeah, but who cares? You get to play CT, right? As long as it's fair in that sense. Why balance patch all of this crap, right? I don't know.
I feel like
it's such a
I feel like that's a very good point actually, because like nowadays all CS maps are the same, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like they made Dust 2 and then they realized, wow, this is really balanced and nice. And then every map is like a copy of Dust 2. Yeah. And every map that is like, the more different a map is from Dust 2, the more hated it is. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating a bit because there are a few differences between the maps and stuff. But like the core like 3-lane with a cross in the middle design is like... That's in all of the competitive CS maps. And it gets kind of boring to play. And I feel like, what was the map called? I really liked it. It was called Canals. So it was in like old CSGO, like maybe 4 years ago. I don't know. I have no clue. But like something like 4 years ago. And I really liked that map because it was a bit different. Like it was still sort of a 3-lane map. But there was like a lot of elevation difference, and there were like, you would have like 2 floors, and there would be like a crossing, and then you could go below and stuff like that. So it wasn't like completely flat, and everybody hated that map because it was unbalanced or whatever. And like, no, it was fun to play because it was different from Dust 2. And as you said, you know, in CS you play as both the counter-terrorist and the terrorist, so it doesn't matter that the side is T-sided or whatever, because you're gonna play as them anyways. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I am a big hater of balance patches, and it's obvious that it works not doing it, because you can look at stuff like Brood War, for example. Like the meta in something like Brood War has changed a lot over time, because people like, surprise, people are not as skilled as they will ever be at the game at this current point in time. So the meta might change even if they don't balance patch stuff, because people are not good enough to realize what weapons are good, for example, even though they did patch that the weapons you talked about. There
was one more thing related to save files specifically that I wanted to mention before we end this video. Do I have your permission? Yes, I do.
You have
I don't have
my
to ask.
permission.
Yeah. So, and that's the fact that, sort of to clarify, we're not saying that games should just remove save files completely and stop having them. I guess what we're saying is that games in the future should be designed not to have save files, right? And of course, it's not all games, but like,
I mean, they should be designed to not think about the progression stuff too much. I guess,
Yeah,
focus on the progression.
hmm But what I'm trying to say is that, like, make more run-based games, I guess. It's like, instead of making let's take a really stupid example, the Call of Duty campaign or whatever. Instead of making that like a 5-hour-long stuff thing with save files where nothing matters, you know.
But but the thing is, like, sorry to interrupt you, but
Mhm.
that's that kind of structure of that campaign. I'm more
Mhm.
okay with that than a lot of RPGs, right? I'm not
Yeah,
saying
true,
Call of
true.
Duty's campaign is fun. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
like, you know, it's just A to B and you can save.
Yeah.
Or you don't even save it autosaves, right? So it's like you're not even saving. It's just
Yeah.
and it's like
Well,
based.
What I'm saying more is that I'm not saying that you should take Call of Duty and then remove the save file and that would make the game better, right? Because it would be very annoying to like replay the first 4 hours if you died at the last hour, and it wouldn't be fun and it would be boring. And so the point I want to make is like redesign the game so that it is fun despite removing the save files, because that's gonna make the game so much better.
Or have a game with save files, but make sure it's fun without them or something.
Yeah. Something like
if it's
that.
long, right?
Mm-hmm. And don't fall into like the trap of adding a bunch of meta progression, savior stuff, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I think a good way to summarize it. I think this is a very good way to summarize it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care about your save file disappearing?
Mm-hmm.
If yes, then I think it's bad, right?
Yeah.
If no,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could be, fuck, I need to redo this stuff. It's annoying, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like a big deal that you lose your save file, like in an MMO, if you lost your account, that's a big deal, right? That's basically you're gonna stop playing because you lost all your progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Potentially. So that's how I would describe it. Like if the save file is that, then no. If it's just convenience, then yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it. Although MMO fans are gonna launch a hate raid
I
on
don't
this
think
video
we have
because
any
they're gonna
MMO
say
fans.
no. They're gonna say, "What about World of Warcraft hardcore mode? I die and I lose all my progress." But that's like, that's.
I mean, that's probably better. But it's probably
To be honest, yes, I would probably prefer hardcore mode over just playing World of Warcraft normally. But it's still a massive waste of time. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say? Do you want to hate more on save files or?
I'm out of hate.
Shit. You need to save and quit and then return later.
Yeah.
No. Wow, that was an epic gamer reference.
I need a pause. I'm a pause enjoyer.
Yes.
Break enjoyer. Sorry, not pause.
Yes. But yeah, I guess thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a like and a comment. I think we mentioned it last video, but I'm going to mention it again. Thanks so much for the support on the last episode of the podcast. Fantastic. Very, very thankful.
We can also mention we're going to try a new series later this week. Or sorry, it's next week technically, right?
Yeah.
So there'll be an extra video on top of the podcast. And so please let us know how the format is of that video. If you want us to change stuff, I guess we'll we'll see.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, but we're still doing the podcast every week. So
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye bye.